All right. Thanks for joining me, everyone. This is Holly with the Isaac Foundation, and I have a guest today, Jeff Kalles of Lilac City Behavioral Services, joining us with safe social distancing parameters in place. Right, Jeff?
I think we're easily a couple miles apart at the moment.
Yes, we are. So the reason why I asked Jeff to join me is because obviously we've all, recently heard that schools will not be going back into session this school year. And so we're looking at starting school next August, September. And that means that we're going to have, 5.5 months of no formal in face-to-face education. And that is going to be a problem for our population because depending on, our level of function for our loved one, online instruction is not necessarily as effective as obviously face-to-face. And so could you just talk to us real quick about your clinic and the families that you're serving?
Sure. Well, Lilac just turned 4 about a week before all this started. So welcome to our I suppose that'd be our 4th year in business or 5th year in business.
Well, happy anniversary.
Thank you. I wanna point out that I didn't cause this. So unfortunately, it's kind of a situation we're all in, and it's a little unprecedented, and it's been interesting to start figuring some things out. The services we generally offer are home-based for kids age 2 to 21. Although as kids age up, we're not capping and discharging at 21. We haven't started intake for adult services at this point. Our clinic serves kids age 2 to 5. We've hedged the top number for kids who need ongoing clinic services, but it's generally been an early intervention focused model. And kids we serve range from humans with really substantial communication deficits who we need to work on functional, how to communicate your wants and needs and interact in this world that uses all these vocal words that you don't necessarily understand or can't use, to humans who have some pretty good vocal communication skills, but we need to work on challenging behavior or setting up routines, or reacting to change and dealing with change. And so kind of the whole gamut in terms of the spectrum.
Awesome. So this is a topic that I'm seeing a lot on some of the private forums on Facebook when it comes to our special needs population is that obviously we can't do face-to-face ABA right now. So you guys have Lilac City Behavioral Services has stopped in-home services during this COVID stay home, stay safe order, correct?
That's correct.
And the plan is that you're going to stay not doing in-home. Well, are you doing any in-home services at this point?
Right now, we've limited our services to only telehealth, with the option to add on in-person for families for whom we can't have a positive impact without it. At this point, we're limiting that based on safety criteria. So if we can maintain low rates of dangerous behavior or injurious behavior without direct in-person contact at this point, we feel that's the safest option.
Gotcha.
With all the unknowns.
And the plan is to not have in-home unless you have a extenuating circumstance, and then in clinic has also been suspended until we get clarification from our state officials that it's safe to do that, correct?
That's correct. I think in terms of balancing the essential service aspect versus our first responsibility is do no harm. We have a number of kiddos who were prepared to plug in-person services if the need is there, but we've been pretty successful so far with 100% telehealth in terms of maintaining progress on goals and maintaining engagement and kind of managing in day-to-day routines. And so we're hoping to keep that up.
That's great. So who would make a good candidate then for the telehealth? Because I know some families have told me that they've tried it and it was a complete disaster. Some families are saying that they're still doing it and it is billable to the insurance, correct?
It for most insurances, some private insurers have some hoops to jump through, but Medicaid is approving telemedicine across the board, and they've opened up telehealth as well.
Oh, nice.
And they're really doing their best to make everything covered that they can.
Okay, so who makes a good candidate for doing that telemedicine and telehealth?
Sure. It kind of depends in terms of kiddos who can successfully engage with a human on the iPad are obviously the best candidates. If we can go back and forth and set up a schedule, so hey, once we get XYZ done, then mom's going to turn on the video games and we can have a reward time, and then we can get some work done on the iPad pretty successfully one-on-one. We've got some kiddos in that boat, but we've also had some success with, I guess, probably an atypical candidate for telehealth. Some of our kiddos working more on PECs or other basic communication skills. If we've got good parent involvement, we've coached up the parent in terms of helping implement those session pieces. And the technician's job is helping keep track and timing of when are we going to do certain skills and certain trials and taking the data. And so the parent and technician are kind of doing the session together. So we've kind of had a range, but that second model definitely requires a lot more investment from the caregiver and being right with the kid and the iPad or the device during the session. And for some families with day-to-day life right now, that's not necessarily doable.
Yeah, no, I completely agree, because that's the problem is that, we have some families who have their parents are essential workforce. And so it's, it's really challenging. And so you're absolutely right. Are there any other resources that Lilac City Behavioral Services offers to families currently? Like if, what other things, aside from doing telemedicine, are there any other supports that you're offering your families?
Right now, in terms of our existing families, it's pretty regular connect with the licensed behavior analyst or assistant behavior analyst who's working with them. And again, we are prepared to provide in person if we need to for certain kiddos.
And that's for that self-injurious behavior that you're kind of talking about.
Or if we can't get destructive or ongoing tantrum or really disruptive behavior to a manageable level, and it's being really disruptive and dangerous in day-to-day life, then that's something we'll consider. But at that point, we're looking at some of the safety pieces we'll have in place, and in terms of comfort level and openness of staff, we've got a range of staff and clients in terms of health circumstances. So it's not something we're ever going to mandate, but it is something we're prepared to plug in for families that need it.
Excellent. So I'm going to ask you one of the questions, of course, ABA, everybody needs and is wanting to start accessing ABA. A lot of our families are on wait lists. So can you talk to us a little bit about your wait list and what that looks like at Lilac City Behavioral Services?
Sure. Every family who completes an intake form and submits all the documentation we need that would allow us to start out is on our wait list. We've got a number who are on the wait list but don't have a complete profile, and they're still on there as well. And as soon as they get that complete profile, they're considered for any available opening.
Okay.
The reality in this field is that there are not enough providers to meet the need, and there's huge wait lists everywhere. In terms of our wait list, we've always offered ongoing support or check-in support as needed. If a family's in crisis and gives us a call, we'll do our best to help coordinate accessing different resources, or have you called this person? Have you called the school counselor? Have you called the behavior analyst at school? Whatever kind of resources those are. We've always had that open and available for all families on the wait list.
Okay.
In the current time, we're going to be expanding those options because with schools not coming back until next September, we've got a lot of families that are looking at the next, like I think you said, 5 months.
5 months.
That's a lot of time to figure out how to manage, how to structure the day. It's not 10 weeks of summer to get through. It's half a year.
Yeah.
And so we are in the process of ramping up some additional I guess I'd call them classes, but parent coaching groups to offer to our wait list. And we'll be emailing out some links for folks who are interested to sign up tonight or tomorrow. And we've got a range of things there in terms of content. One is there's a curriculum called Ruby, which is designed as a one-to-one parent training curriculum for the basics of ABA, and really giving families the tools we use in our practice to use in day-to-day life. And it's designed as a one-on-one curriculum, and we've had some really good success adapting it to a group model. So we'll have a couple classes going for that, as well as some other specific topics, and the availability of one-to-one individual connect for families who are really having a hard time struggling.
That is great. I'm really impressed, and I appreciate that a lot, because again, Isaac Foundation, we help support families that are touched by autism, and our families are really struggling, and they're desperate right now, just trying to find resources available, and then just, how do you build some normalcy in something that like none of us have ever experienced before? And so I think that's great. Do you have any other websites or resources that we kind of were talking about that, and you guys have been putting something together that you're going to make available, and we'll put in the as a PDF document that families can reference, correct?
Yes. At this point, it's about 5 pages long. I need to go through and clean it up, but I asked our staff for ideas or resources they've been using, and just to put them in a list of what are the free resources that you found out there that you've already shared with families, or that you might. And so there's a lot on here, and they range from toolboxes for how to work on challenging behavior, how to reduce tantrums, how to get through a day successfully with a schedule, to more fun stuff. There's some virtual field trips, visiting some zoos have opened up some live stream kind of virtual field trip opportunities. A lot of the educational resources we've pulled from are offering a lot of free stuff during this time. So
yeah,
but it's here's some ideas.
Perfect. I love it. So I put up the link a little bit ago. I'll put it up here again. You guys are accepting people. If you fill out this intake form on your website, you can begin the process of getting on your wait list. It requires, obviously the child's diagnosis, also referral from their provider, and then there's some other things, but that contact intake form is going to help them navigate what is needed and get that process going, correct?
Yes, it will. It's about 7 pages long. It does ask for some detailed information. And then once that's submitted, our office will reach out, and then for follow-up documentation to make sure we've got everything, so that when we're ready to start up, we're ready to go. It's one of the unfortunate realities is I wish I could say, give a timeline, but it's a wait list, and it's not small. We've always committed to families in crisis. Give us a call, and we'll do our best to help. We're here to help support and just do our best.
Yeah, no, and I appreciate that. So question of the day, how are you guys overall doing? I know, people ask me that all the time, how is Isaac Foundation weathering the storm? And it's rough, and I imagine it's rough for you guys too. So
it is. Do you see my receding hairline?
I was just pointing out, like, people don't appreciate how white I am until, like, it's getting worse, people. It's getting worse by the day. I hear that. We're
definitely going to be tight for a little bit. I think we're prepared to weather this. Unfortunately, the majority of our staff are at least partially, if not fully, laid off. And we're at bare bones operations. But we're working on those other supports, accessing some of the federal supports that have come out, hopefully get our people back to work a little sooner. We've got a lot of projects that we want to engage in, and that are a little on hold at the moment. So I'd love to plug folks into that. But it's definitely tight, and some unknown kind of situation for all of us of where's the world at, and where's day-to-day life at. I miss my routine.
I know. We miss our routine, let alone our kiddos are struggling because their routine is gone too.
Right, and without the words to express it, and if the only way you know how to express frustration is just physically expressing frustration, it's a tough time. And so I think really that's kind of why we're focusing on what we can provide, and that's why we're going to open up some classes to the wait list. If we can help in a small group or an individual model, be a source of community and a source of support, and have some good conversations as a group around strategies that work. We're all in this together, and we're all going to get through this together. It's not going to last forever.
Yes, I completely agree. Is there anything that the community can do to help you guys?
Well, if you're interested, sign up for a class.
Yeah.
I think fill in some of those group classes would be a way for us to. We'd love to be in touch with everybody, and it's more hours that we can provide some support. So, and they're insurance funded. We do have private pay options. The cost isn't astronomical for the classes. It's certainly not the same as what direct service ABA would be looking at. But yeah, if you're interested, sign up for a class. The more the merrier, and we'll go from there.
Awesome. Well, thank you for joining me. Like I said, again, we're all stuck at home. People are desperate for information, and you and I had talked last week, and I thought, you know what, this would actually be really good content to do for a live. So I appreciate everything that you're doing, and I for your existing families and those families that are on the wait list or that might join your wait list. So, and if anything changes, reach out to us, because we can always do another one of these to keep everybody up to date. So anyway, so I'm going to go ahead and wrap up this episode. And again, if you are looking to connect with Lilac City Behavioral Services, here is their number, 509-844-2429. Obviously, I'm imagining you're going to have to probably leave a message, and then someone will return your call right now because you don't have people in the office. But be patient, because you guys are working through that and you're trying to help as many people as possible. So, and we are grateful for that. So I'll go ahead and wrap up today. Thanks for joining.
Thanks for having us.